Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Earlier this week, we had the announcement of the brand new Dokkan Fest Kale, of course, being from the Tournament of Power and being the Berserk Kale. Now, the interesting thing about this Dokkan Fest is the reaction to this character's inclusion as a Dokkan Fest character specifically was quite interesting throughout the community. I myself gave my initial thoughts, kind of feeling a little bit iffy on the matter, and it seemed like a lot of people agreed. Either the comments were basically this end of the spectrum or this end of the spectrum. There wasn't really any in between. And this kind of got me thinking, right? What really makes a character worthy of being a Dokkan Fest? Obviously, when we're talking about this, we're not really referring to the character's kit or their animations or anything like that. We're talking about specifically the choice in character, the actual character who is going to represent this kit and these animations in the game. And of course, Kale certainly isn't the only character that this applies to. In recent time, I think a lot of people certainly apply this mentality to the physical Raditz and the STR Videl. Obviously, both of those characters being a little bit of odd choices to make a Dokkan Fest character. I think it certainly doesn't help with Raditz that his kit also kind of gave him a reputation, but I digress, obviously not the point. So I wanted to give my thoughts on this. What really does make a character worthy of being a Dokkan Fest character? And honestly, my opinion of this has kind of changed within the last couple of days, to be honest with you. I asked you guys on Twitter, what do you think of this question? And there were lots of answers. Various different contributing factors that many people thought, hey, this is something that matters when considering a character to be a Dokkan Fest character. For some people, they said the impact or importance of the character on Dragon Ball's story as a whole, whether it just be for that specific arc or if it is the entirety of the story. For other people, it's how hype the character is. For some others, it is how much material there is for them to actually use when it comes to the unit's animations, and for some people, it is just prominent characters within the Dragon Ball franchise. Are they characters that people talk about? Are they characters that are worth talking about? Then they have the gold star of approval to be a Dokkan Fest character. However, many people shared the same sentiment that honestly, in the beginning of this conversation, I really kind of hadn't thought about, and I'm not really sure why. I think it's just because I haven't really thought about this topic in a long time, what really makes a character deserving of a Dokkan Fest. In my mind, it was really a kind of combination of everything that a lot of people were saying in the comment section. I think definitely, for me, a lot more of that prominence in the story, right? Did they have a important or really cool moment that stuck out in Dragon Ball as a whole, right? For me, that's kind of what was sort of the criteria to make a character a Dokkan Fest. However, at this point in the game, and ironically enough, Mr. Nanogenics himself will be our representing member of who is basically just giving us the point that I want to get across here. Essentially, any Dragon Ball character can be a Dokkan Fest, right? In Nano's case, he obviously says literally just existing, right? And I think that this is something definitely really important to consider when talking about this. Obviously, we are 8 years, even more than that at this point, into this game's lifespan. Of course, when they've already made so many characters, it's important for them to basically take from wherever they can get, and not only that, give a bunch of different characters a lot of representation, because of course, you know, we have a ton of Gokus in the game by this point. So why would we need another Goku Dokkan Fest unless it's of course a moment that hasn't been represented yet? Please, one punch on Broly, I'm begging you. But with that being said, I think something interesting to go back and take a look at is actually the first Dokkan Fest characters that we ever got in the game's history. By doing this, at least in my mind, we can kind of get some basic criteria for originally what was sort of the requirements to be a Dokkan Fest character. Interestingly enough, the first Dokkan Fest that we got leading up to the first anniversary of Dokkan Battle, of course this being the JP version, was, starting us off, STR Broly, second, Tech Cell, third, Fizz Kid Buu, fourth, AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and of course, in the 5th and 6th slot, the dual STR Gogeta and Janemba. Very interesting, by the way, that the first 3 Dokkan Fest characters were villains, and nowadays we get no villain support at all. I just think that's kind of funny. The first hero character wasn't even until the 4th Dokkan Fest, and that being a Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Now, all of these characters obviously fit under some type of criteria, whether they are a very prominent character in Dragon Ball's story. Of course, I think Cell, Kid Buu, and I mean just Goku in general, but Super Saiyan 3 Goku, right, definitely fit that bill. Or are super hype characters. Obviously, fan favorites here definitely being Broly, Super Saiyan 3 Goku with that form specifically, and of course, Gogeta and Janemba. Not to mention, with Super Saiyan 3 Goku, of course, I think he is probably the best example out of all of these for the specific moment that these characters take from, right? Obviously, these guys being so early on in the game's lifespan, it's a lot harder to talk about, you know, oh, this character represents this specific moment, because obviously, you know, all of these guys are basically just doing a either generic attack or, you know, the one attack that every single Broly or Cell or Kid Buu card, you know, is doing for their super attack animation. However, obviously Super Saiyan 3 Goku definitely stands out here because, of course, he does the Dragon Fist from the Wrath of the Dragon movie. Also, speaking of which, it's kind of interesting as well to see that a lot of these characters are actually movie characters, right? The first one, of course, being Broly, then we have Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and of course Gogeta and Janemba. It definitely fits because obviously the Dragon Ball movies are super hype, and not to mention, obviously, in all of these different movies, right, there's these really prominent moments that you remember, and not to mention, obviously, because these movie characters are super exciting and they only have the films to represent them, obviously they tend to be a lot more memorable because they get a feature-length film or a anime-length film, of course, centered all around them. But of course, things were different back then. They didn't have as many characters in the game, let alone as many units in the game as they do now. Of course, we have a plethora of different moments represented from all different kinds of characters throughout the Dragon Ball franchise, so it would certainly make sense that in the modern era where we have, I think I'm doing my math on this right, over 2,000 characters in this game, including TURs and Dokkan Awakenings and SSRs and Rares and all that good stuff. I actually can't believe that number is real. Definitely correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that my math is right on that. Wow. Of course, at this point, they're going to be making some Dokkan Fest off of characters that might make you scratch your head a little bit initially. But with so many characters already in the game, of course, for some of these Dokkan Fest units, they're going to pick a couple of characters that might not necessarily fit the usual Dokkan Fest exclusive mode. And honestly, after really thinking about this topic the last couple of days, I really think that's a good thing, because as it stands, that just means that there's more interesting characters that can be introduced in the game, more interesting units that can be introduced in the game. They can do more interesting things with Dokkan Battle because they're not just limiting themselves to making every single Dokkan Fest a brand new Goku or Vegeta, right? They can do these characters that seemingly might not fit the usual stereotypical Dokkan Fest mold and make something a lot more fun. Not only do fans of these characters that maybe don't get some spotlight as often have a very powerful or very prominent character to use when it comes to playing through Dokkan Battle, obviously it just makes the game more interesting having a bigger variety of characters to use and actually good versions of these characters when it comes to the units kits, because obviously you can use a full team of Gokus, but of course it's really cool that you can use some of these more wacky characters and actually be able to truck through some of the game's more difficult content. And that about wraps my thoughts up for this one. Definitely let me know in the comments section below what you guys think of this topic. I would love to hear your thoughts, whether you think that at this point in the game any character can be a Dokkan Fest, or if they should still try and stick to a little bit of criteria when it comes to picking the character for these type of things. I would love to hear it. And of course, let me know if you are excited for the upcoming Kale Dokkan Fest. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.